Hello Year 7 mathematicians, welcome back to the chapter 21. We are studying to do with solving equations. We had a slight detour last time when we were simplifying algebraic expressions, but we're back to solving equations. This is part 2. The main difference today is the letters are going to appear on both sides of the equal sign. So a lot different to the ones we've been solving recently. But the good news is the method called tramlines still applies, still works. It works for every single equation, not just Year 7 equations, all the way up to GCSE and A level and beyond. And we're going to use that to solve equations where there's a letter on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so let's see how you can actually get an equation with a letter on both sides. If you remember a few lessons ago, I started with a very simple equation, and today I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Let's start off with the equation x equals 3. So I've given you the answer x equals 3. Anybody remember how you can generate a one-step equation from this? One thing you can do is just multiply by something. So let's just multiply by 2. And what you get, the left-hand side becomes 2x, the right-hand side becomes 6. So that is how I showed you to get a one-step equation. Okay, take the answer and just times out both sides by 2. Then pick another operation, mainly either addition or subtraction. So let's do addition. Plus 5. Let's add 5. Okay. What happens when you add 5 to both sides? Well, you get a two-step equation. 2x plus 5 equals 11. And that's about as far as we got last time. But now we're going to take it a step further. Not only can you times, add, subtract, divide by numbers, but you can add algebra. Bits of algebra, bits of something x in this case, or subtract something x. So let's just do addition for now. Let's add 4x to both sides. Okay, add 4x to both sides. Now, I'll do the easy bit. 11 plus 4x. From our knowledge of collecting like terms, there's no way you can simplify 11 plus 4x. It is just literally 11 plus 4x. However, 2x plus 5, add 4x. There is a shorter way you can write that. 2x plus 5, then add 4x. There would be a like term between that 2x and that 4x. And that could be written as 6x plus 5. Okay? And if you look at this equation I've ended up with now, just doing 3 basic operations, you've ended up with an equation where there's a letter on both sides. And this is the type of equation we're going to have to solve today. So letter on both sides. Okay? So we're going to have to do these operations but backwards. Alright, e.g. number 1. We tick the boxes now of an equation with letters on both sides. We've got 5x and we've got a 2x. Now, we somehow have to do a step. So apply something to both sides so we end up with one term with like a letter in it. I only want a letter on one side. So let's do the tram lines. Okay, how can you get one letter on one side? So I have to kind of remove either the 2x or remove the 5x. Now the first rule is you always remove the smaller number. So the lower the number you remove it. So to 5 and 2, I remove 2x. Okay. I can't just hide it with my finger, that wouldn't be mathematical at all. I have to apply an operation. And the clue is in what I did above. If I had to work backwards from what I did above and do inverse operations, when I added 4x, if I then wanted to remove the 4x, I would do the opposite of adding 4x, which is subtracting 4x. So what do you think I would do to remove a 2x? The answer is you would have to subtract 2x. Remember, you've got to do it from both sides though. The purpose of that step is to remove that 2x. So that simplifies to a 9. However, 5x plus 2, subtract 2x. There are some like terms. 5x, subtract 2x. What is the shortest way you can write 5x subtract 2x? 3x plus 2. Okay, and now this is an equation similar to solving equations part 1. That was when I asked you to think about what operations happen into the letter x. It's been times by 3, then they're adding 2, and then we do work backwards and do the opposite. So we subtract 2, gets rid of this, 3x. 9 subtract 2 is 7. Okay, and then one last operation to get rid of. Rather than times in by 3, we divide by 3. X equals 7 does not go into 3 perfectly. So you've got a choice. You can leave it as a fraction, 7 over 3, or a mixed number, 2 and 1/3, 2 remainder 1. Okay, some of the questions you're going to solve today won't be whole number positive whole number answers. They could be fractions, they could be decimals, they could be negatives. Okay, it's not guaranteed that when you solve an equation in maths, the answer is just a nice whole number you could work out. Okay, it would be very difficult to do this question in your head without using a method like the one I've just showed you. Okay, but the main thing was, when we end up with one equation with a letter on one side, not letters on both sides, but one equation with a letter on one side. Okay, easy number 2. X on both sides. Remember my tip from before. You want to remove the lower numbered x. Okay? The lower numbered x. You could even think, okay, that's a plus 1x, by the way. Which one's the lower numbered side? Well, if you said this side, you'd be wrong. Because negative 4x is a lot smaller than 1x. So you have to remove this, a negative 4x. How on earth can you remove that negative 4x? Okay, you want to do the opposite of subtracting 4x, which is adding 4x. Wherever the operation is, you do the opposite, because then that makes that disappear. So that's just 4. But there are like terms on this side, and a 1x plus a 4x gives you 9 plus 5x. And then you've got one equation with one letter on one side, and you can solve it normally. So this is times in by 5, then add in 9, which means we have to subtract 9 first. If you subtract 9, that disappears. That's the purpose of the step. The next line is always easier than the previous one. 4 take away 9. Okay? Remember what I said above. Negative numbers can happen with these. 4 take away 9 gets you to negative 5. Then the last operation to get rid of is this, which was times in by 5. So you have to do the opposite, which is dividing by 5. Negative 5 divided by 5. Remember your rules for negatives. A negative number divided by a positive number will always give you a negative number. And 5 divided by 5 is just 1. So the answer to that is x equals negative 1. So just a quick tip again. Okay, when deciding which letter X or whichever letter to remove, you need to pick on the smaller letter, okay? So pick on the side where the number in front of the X is its smallest. So remove the smallest valued letter before. Yeah, just that'll be enough instructions. That's just a tip. Remove the smallest valued letter. Okay. And the questions I'd like you to try today, there's lots of them. So it's exercise 21J on page 391. And actually, it is exercise 21I, sorry, which is on page 389, and it goes on to 390, and if you try the odds only, using the tramlines method only as well, and if you stack return to the teams meeting,